Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the beautiful Road America road course for tonight's running of the SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series around this beautiful 14-turn 4-mile road course, the third in just a few weeks. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Carlos Acosta. And Carlos, once again, another road course here tonight. We've had Watkins Glen a few weeks ago, then Mid-Ohio, and now at Road America. Of course, we had Bristol there in between them. But a lot of road course racing for these guys here tonight, and one of the trickier tracks on the season. What do you know about Road America?
Nothing much, except for the fact that Road America is one of my favorite road courses outside of Daytona and Watkins Glen. I do enjoy running here a lot, although my experience is limited to the Xfinity cars. But guess what? We are in the Xfinity cars right now, so we're taking a look at the 98 Toyota Camry of Chris Roberge. I'm sure he's going to be excited to maybe run the Supra coming up, possibly the next build. I believe it's rumored to come out with the new updates to all the Xfinity cars. But aside from, as I always mention, taking care of your tires and keeping yourself on track, you also have to keep your mental game on track as well, because this track, it's wide open, and the corners, if you do not concentrate, will come out and bite you. Peter, I've had many a history of me messing up a corner because I thought I was pretty good here, and it turns out I needed to back off there. But it's going to be a very, very weird time. It's a bit chilly out here tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather. My microphone is on. It's 70 degrees air temperature, track on 80. The reason, this is actually specifically made cold because whatever happened with the setup or the track recently has made these cars pretty much undrivable for the series. And so they, as an audible, the league owner Jeff Schmidt decided to make it chillier so the drivers would have more of an appreciation driving the racetrack than a upset race, just trying to figure out what's going on and leaving not very, very happy at the end of the race. I'm sure some people would have been happy with it, but this would be pleasing to the majority of the field, Peter.
Yeah, with a lower track temperature, there'll be a lot more grip out there, helping these drivers get around this 4-mile, 14-turn racetrack. Should be a good show. And let it be known to YouTube, my last name isn't Shart, Carlos. I'll strangle him after the race. Yes,
Did I mess it up?
Yeah, you did. There was an A instead of an O.
Oops.
Yeah, oops.
I don't know how that happens.
Well, anyway, there we go. That's my name. Anyway, we do want to highlight a few corners around this joint. This last corner is a very tricky corner, going on to the Road America straightaway. Here is driver of the number 9 machine, that's Tim Masters. He is working his way through the Hurry Downs and about to go into perhaps the most famous corner in all of this racetrack. That is the carousel right here. You see this long right-hander as we watch that beautiful number 9 machine work his way through this very, very long right-hander. And you gotta really pay attention to the exit here, because after turn number 10, you go into the kink, which is right here, turn number 11, which goes down yet another straightaway, hard on the gas, up to about 160 miles an hour as the practice session has actually completed here. So I'm not quite sure if we'll get to Canada Corner. But Canada Corner is turn number 12. There is the beautiful Road America road course here from the air on the blimp cam. Pretty much being able to see the entire race circuit there. It will be a fantastic race here tonight. We've already seen these SimPossible Racing League drivers on this racetrack once before, and they put on a fantastic show here. Here is Dave Wilson. He has won both of the road course races so far this year in the B-Car Series, winning both at Watkins Glen, and he goes straight off the road course into the gravel in turn number 1 there, throwing up some dirt. There's Tim Masters in the number 9 machine out there. There's the 17 of Fernando Matos. So we should keep an eye on the number 20 machine of Dave Wilson, as long as he's not going off the racetrack like he did right there. I think that is the ray gun. Carlos,
I don't have it. It's in your house.
Okay, I quote-unquote have this quote-unquote ray gun that I've never seen before, but nonetheless, this ray gun has actually been pretty hazardous. It's basically, you could think of it as throwing a banana peel from Mario Kart in front of these cars out there, as Dave Wilson's working his way up through turn number 6, a hard left-hander. Really, really fun racetrack, Carlos. This is a rhythm racetrack, high speed, lots of difficult braking zones, which you kind of highlighted just a minute ago in the free race here. As Dave Wilson's missed one of those brake zones right there. He's off in turn number 8. Trying to get back onto the racetrack as he does here, going through turns number 9 and 10. The carousel does count as 2 corners around this joint. Turn number 11 is the infamous kink, where we saw Catherine Legg have a massive accident about 15 years ago now in the Champ Car Series. Here is the kink as he turns hard right into that. There's Don Johnson in the number 57 machine. He's working his way now through the Marine Sweep into turn number 5, up the hill into turn number 6. Good looking Ford EcoBoost Cobra there, going now through turn number 6. And Carlos, this race, the championship is starting to reach its precipice, so to speak, as we have completed 2/3 of the season.
That's a pretty big word for my vocabulary. Why don't you go ahead and settle it down for me and other people here listening?
Okay. We'll put it in layman's terms. We're 2/3 of the way through the season. We've completed 22 of the 33 races so far. Tanner Sharp currently is on top of the points, but Tanner Sharp having a pretty decent practice, 2:12.723. That would put him down in the 7th position in practice. We'll see if Tanner can pick it up here in qualifying, as Dave Wilson has started his first time lap, maybe throwing up a little bit of dust there out of turn number 1. Don't think that will give him a 0x or even a 1x, and you and I know, Carlos, here in qualifying in iRacing, if you even dip 2 wheels off the road, you'll often get a off track, and if you get an off track, you actually have your lap time disqualified. So Dave Wilson here going to try and stay on the racetrack as you ride on board with that number 20 Viagra machine, going now down into turn number 5.
This is my favorite corner of the whole racetrack. It's that would be a 1x right there for going off track. So I think this lap will not count. But I do love this corner, but I hate that corner that he just went into. That's one of my least favorite corners. It's just hard for me to get a rhythm going down there. But it is a place where you can make up time by not messing up.
Yeah, with a 33 lap race here tonight, we will have a halfway caution once we get onto lap number 17. So that will bunch back up the field as you see the number 57. But at least for the last half of the race, you're going to have to minimize your number of mistakes, be very consistent, and get your car to the end of the race. I do expect to see a couple of the drivers perhaps pit early if the pit window opens early to get some track position, which could be a very interesting strategy. We'll have to see how that one. But currently, we have 6 minutes left in qualifying. No driver yet to post a time here. As Tom Johnson going through turn number 5, Carlos, your favorite corner, going up into one of your least favorite corners here. So you see no one posting time up there on the left-hand side of your screen.
We do want to take a quick moment and mention that Johnny Birdie will not be joining us here tonight. He is under the weather, so we do wish him a speedy recovery in whatever ailment he may have. But he actually, he will be joining us today. He'll be running a couple laps and then parking it. So my bad, got a little bit ahead of myself there. But yeah, so we do hope you feel better, and maybe you get out there, you run a couple laps, and you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe it isn't so bad after all, because I've done that a couple times. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna run like 10 laps and then call it a day. Get some points. Go out there, run a couple laps, and I'm like, you know what? I'm having some fun. This is a good distraction. So hopefully you feel that way. If not, then we look forward to seeing you either next Monday or next Wednesday.
Yeah, honestly, I'm much the same, Carlos. It seemed like whenever I am sick, if I get on iRacing and do a couple of laps, just the focus that it takes to hustle these cars around the racetrack will often take my mind off any type of ailment I have, whether it be a cold, the flu, or whatnot. And it definitely takes a lot of concentration around this joint. Currently, Dave Wilson is atop the board with a 2-minute 10.102. There goes Kyle Zimmer with a 2-minute 12.716. He's going to slot into the 3rd position here as we now are about halfway through the qualifying session. Tanner Sharp has yet to turn a lap time. He actually just now joined the race circuit. Here comes AJ Digby, second fastest man, in practice at the start-finish line there, and no lap time out of that 14 machine. So not quite sure if he had an off-track excursion or whatnot, but nonetheless, he is having to work his way now through turn number 1. I am getting reports that Digby is on his first qualifying lap, so no off-track excursions for him.
Well, not yet. I'm being shown that he had a 5-minute 46-second warm-up lap. So he may have been doing that fancy thing you call ghosting, crawling,
Creeping.
creeping.
He's
There we
being a creeper. Yeah, it's a strategy to just go around your outlap as slow as possible to keep as little heat in the tires as possible. And it does look like that's what Digby did. So I'll have to see if that strategy plays out well for Digby or not, as he's working his way now through the hurry downs into turn number 8 just ahead of him. We'll see if he gets this braking zone right. Indeed he does. He turns in, and you can use a lot of curbing there near the apex of turn number 8. And now into turn number 9, the infamous carousel, and you can see that Digby has kind of a wide entry, but watch him on exit as he gets as close as he can to that apex to straighten the exit onto the straightaway into the kink turn number 11 here. And as he runs down to Canada Corner, always seeing quite a few drivers go off in Canada Corner. It's a very interesting corner to watch. That's why you see a lot of fans at Canada Corner when these Xfinity cars come here, these B cars. And it looks like he might have missed that apex just a little bit. Runs wide off into the kitty litter. That's what I said. Very difficult corner to get right. A lot of braking. Now working his way up into turn number 13 and into turn number 14 to end his first lap. We'll see if this lap does count. He did get off into that gravel, which might disqualify his lap time. We'll wait and see here at the line. Currently, Tanner Sharp and Chris Roberge, Tom Johnson, another one of those drivers out on track. Johnson going to come complete his second lap time here. And no, like you said, Carlos, looks like he might have had an off-track excursion. Yes, Carlos?
Is he in the pole?
AJ Digby has gone second. That's who you were talking about. But Digby has gone to a 2-minute 10.037. So it looks like that off-track excursion didn't affect him too much. He's probably wishing he had that back. Not quite sure if he lost 0.7 of a second when he went off track there or not. But that is currently the difference between your provisional pole sitter, Dave Wilson, and the number 14 of AJ Digby. Digby out there right now. There's the number 3 machine, Tanner Sharp. We mentioned him. He's out there on what I believe is his first qualifying lap time. It's a pretty long lap time around this joint. As you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, about 2 minutes in length. This is the longest road course that we go to all season long. It's longer than Mid-Ohio, Watkins Glen, the Roval, and also longer. Oh, no, those are the 3 other road courses that we go to. I was going to say it was longer than Road America, but this is Road America, so that just about evens out. As the number 3 of Tanner Sharp here going to head up to the start-finish line. We'll see what lap time he can put in that number 3 Will Worsler Racing machine. And he's going to go P5 on the board with a 2-minute 11.645. Well, let's see if he can do anything else. Oh, props for AJ Digby, ladies and gentlemen. He tried to see if he can do something a little bit faster on the second lap, but it wasn't to be. He ended up going off the racetrack coming out of turn number 10, the carousel, and that will disqualify his lap time. So Digby will not be able to improve on that 2:10.037. Here it is on the 3-wide TV replay. You can see he just ran a little bit wide there, coming out of the corner, trying to make up as much time as possible, and ended up doing the, I believe, what is considered the motorbike chicane that's there in between turn number 10 and turn number 11. Don't see many cars doing that, but that does wrap up the qualifying session. Dave Wilson will be your pole sitter. He has been the dominant driver on road courses so far this season, getting the 2 wins so far, both at Watkins Glen and Mid-Ohio, starting on the pole once again. AJ Digby, he's been the runner-up a couple times as well, also shown a lot of pace out of that 14 Ford. He'll be starting alongside him on row number 1.
Yep, in second place, we're going to have Kyle Zimmer with Chris Roberge. All these drivers are capable of winning here tonight as well. Row number 3 will have Tanner Sharp and Fernando Matos. Tanner Sharp, I usually see him qualifying a bit higher up. I know road racing isn't exactly his forte, but if he plays his cards right, he might also find himself in contention of winning tonight's race. Row number 4 will have Alan Capers in 13th with Tom Johnson in the 57. And the last driver to post the qualifying lap is Tim Masters. Peter, take the rest away.
Yeah, Johnny Berardi, the number 99 machine. He has said that he's going to kind of start in park, do a couple laps here tonight, but we'll see if Johnny Berardi is able to complete this race. He'll be starting, from the 10th position. Billy Wise will be starting from the 11th position in the number 32, while Kevin Cochran and Brian Lowhead round out the field in 12th and 13th spots, respectively. Well, the Porsche pace car will lead them around for a full pace lap. And while that Porsche pace car is leading them around, Carlos, how about we discuss the point standings here in the B car series? It is Tanner Sharp that is leading the points, driver of the number 3 machine over the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. The number 13 of Alan Capers will be starting from the 7th spot tonight, but he is currently 3rd place in points. Fernando Matos sits 4th in points, 10 points behind Capers. Nate Catilla, who is not in tonight's field, he's actually 5th in points. And then you find the number 20 of Dave Wilson and the number 98 of Chris Reversion, 6th and 7th.
Yeah, Nate Catilla will not be joining us here tonight, unfortunately. He had a late night the other day and is better spending his time actually recovering from that late night.
I wonder if Nate was out there partying that run that he had at Richmond just a few nights ago in the K&N series. It was a good run for that number 4 machine, as the field now pacing around this 4-mile racetrack. It is a very, very long pace lap. I'm sure all these drivers will be not all too excited once they get to that caution flag. A couple of them will be excited that they'll get to catch up to the back of the field, but it is pretty excruciatingly slow around this joint when you're behind that Porsche pace car, working their way now down from turn number 3 up into turn number 4. Very interesting straightaway this. You actually have turn number 4 and turn number 4 is a sweeping right-hander. I wouldn't really consider it a corner, but the Road America corner police have said, yeah, turn number 4 is actually on the straightaway, so don't exactly understand that. Turn number 2 is actually kind of a similar thing. It's just kind of a right bend after turn number 1. It's not the hard right-hander that many people would probably consider turn number 2, but nonetheless, it is what it is. It's a 14-turn racetrack, 4 miles in length, so tonight this 33-lap race will be 132 miles, if my mathematics is correct. I would hope so.
That's some quick math going on.
Yeah, got to do some quick multiplication. You had to do that back in maybe 4th grade, third grade. I don't know what grade. Whatever grade you learn multiplication in. It was too long ago for me.
That would be a little bit too late, I think.
Yeah, maybe 2nd grade. I don't
first.
know. Really?
I don't know. It's been such a long time. I don't even remember what I was doing last week.
That is true. I don't really remember myself, as all these cars now working their way through the carousel at 60 miles an hour behind that Porsche safety car. Not quite too often that we see that Porsche pace car out there, but I gotta say, we have seen it relatively frequently, going to 3 road courses in a matter of 4 weeks.
Wait, but doesn't SimPossible always use the Porsche?
I don't think so. I think they use the Mustang as well. I think the Porsche is only an option on the road courses. I think they use the rough.
I remember them using the rough. Like that's something that I remember them for.
Yeah, well, this is not the rough. This is the Porsche.
Oh, is the rough only for opals?
I think so. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the same but different. You know how those German car alterers are. It's rough, but it's Porsche, but it's a rough. Anyway, whatever. It is what it is. It's currently a Porsche out there leading the field, but they're only 2 turns away now from receiving the green flag in air. I'm sure Dave Wilson, AJ Digby, and the rest of the field will be eagerly anticipating the start. It looks like a little bit of connection issues out of Dave Wilson, Carlos. We've seen that over the last few weeks, but it hasn't been a factor just yet in that number 20 car on the racetrack, and they're headed through turn number 14, coming up to the start-finish line. And it's always butterflies in my stomach when I see this huge hill that's right in front of them. They'll crest this hill. The green flag will be in hand. Flagman waiting to throw that green flag. No green flag just yet. There it is. Green flag in here at Road America. 33 laps to go. 16 laps or so till the halfway mark. So all these drivers just going to have to ride, but we're side by side now for the race lead going off into turn number 1. Both Digby and Wilson going for it here through this corner. Everyone so far making it through. Almost contact there going through turn number 2 between the number 20 and the number 14. But looks like Digby is going to take the lead going into turn number 3. Good start by the whole field. A little bit of side-by-side action there in the back between Christopher Burge and Fernando Matos. Matos has actually got around the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. Look at this action back here. This is Billy Wise and Kevin Cochran going after it. They're going after it for what looks like around the 8th position. A couple of drivers locking up. That's the number 17 of Fernando Matos going to the beach on lap number 1. Was able to corral that car, get it back onto the racing surface. That was through turn number 5, now working his way through turn number 7, through the hurry downs into turn number 8. Riding on board now with the cone killer himself, Alan Capers, as he's hard on the brakes. But look at this battle. We have another car off. That's Fernando Matos again. And Matos slowly slipping and sliding his way back onto the racetrack as we watch this battle. Oh, contact between the 98 and the 17. They're spinning around, both of them hard in the inside wall as Fernando Matos. Around. Oh, almost contact there with Kevin Cochran. It's getting really tight. What a move by both Tim Masters and Billy Weiss to get around. We'll go see this one on the 3Y TV replay. And I'm sure you'll see the 17 here went off in turn number 8, which is this left-hander here at the bottom of the hill. And that, I think, kind of set up this mess, because when he came back onto the racetrack, there was side-by-side into the carousel, which is not what you want to have as a race car driver. You can see he was sliding his way off in the grass. And then there's just a little nudge right there, and the number 98 went around. Now, these drivers won't be too concerned. They do get a halfway caution, so if they can stay out there on the racetrack, hopefully make up time, they will not go a lap down, and they'll be back in it once we do get the halfway caution. But look at this battle for the race lead. It's still very, very hot between the 14 of Digby and the 20 of Wilson.
These two drivers are non-stop and going at it since the start of the race, of course. With the position swaps as the 20 overshoots it just a little as the 14 actually clips the grass entering the corner. How did these two drivers not wreck, Peter?
Very, very good driving by that number 20 machine. He was slideways both in turn number 1 there and turn number 3, trying to stay off the rear end of that number 14 machine. As looks like most of the field has completed the first lap. I think Johnny Berardi, he might have already taken that number 99 to the garage. Oh, there he is. He's trying to get to pit lane, I do believe, fighting those tires down there in a scrum out of turn number 14. A couple drivers, I'm getting reports, have also gone off. One of those drivers is 66 of Brian Lowhead. He's had a couple of off-track excursions there. He is coming back onto the racing surface, currently down in the 12th position. Fernando Matos has had a lot of excursions in his first lap. It's not the first lap he was looking for, as he dives now down to the inside of the number 9 of Tim Masters. Great move there by Matos to regain what appears to be the 11th position. But up in the front, we're side by side for the race lead. Dave Wilson has taken it away from AJ Digby. We'll see if we can go back and see if we can see that pass for the race lead on the replay here. It happened coming out of the carousel, but Dave Wilson has taken the race lead. Here we go. Coming out of the carousel, that number 14 just didn't quite, he got sideways. He hit the curbing there, and that broke the rear end of that number 14 loose, and Dave Wilson was able to scoot around the outside. So we'll have to see what Wilson, your pole sitter, can do now that he has the race lead here, working lap number 2 of 33. Oh! Digby's gone wide!
Gonna be a lot of major time.
Yeah, that's not what AJ Digby is wanting there, because he's going to lose the second position to the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. And Carlos, we've highlighted Zimmer on these road course races. He's not the best road course racer in the world. He's not the fastest. He is very, very consistent, very, very good at keeping that number 25 machine inside the white lines as he hits the inside curb there going through turn number 1. You see that number 25 Toyota Camry hopping all over the place, but he's able to keep it going straight, and basically just proving the point that he's very good at keeping that car in the lines. And here's Brian Lowhead in the 66 machine. Maybe someone else going off there in Canada corner as well. There's Tim Masters in the 9. Perhaps it was Masters there going off.
I don't
So
know if you were able
drivers
to
struggling.
catch this, Peter. This track is so big that at 2 different points in the racetrack, it may not be now, but when we were showing a couple replays ago, at 2 different points in the racetrack, it was pretty much dark like this, and then really, really sunny in the other part. We were looking at the back of the pack, and it was dark and moody, and then we were looking at the leaders, and they were running up in the sun. Like right here, you see right there, it's all sun in the fun, but if we go back and take a look at Tom Johnson, it's like it's about to rain.
Yeah, it's currently considered in the sim as overcast, and it's not completely overcast. You can see a little bit of sun breaking through. It does heat up the racetrack pretty quickly. Yeah, there you go. That's a fantastic shot from our blip cam. And iRacing, as a simulation service, is actually going to address the track temperature situation. They say that the track temperature is actually adjusting to sunlight a little bit too quickly, and they're hoping that they're going to be able to adjust how quickly the track heats up and cools off when subject to sunlight, or lack of sunlight, I should say, because a couple drivers have been reporting to them that it just all of a sudden gets really, really slick out there when the sun peeks its head out, and that's something that they're going to be addressing here relatively quickly in the sim. I think they're going to use a more complicated track temperature model, which will address that fact. Here is the number 25 machine. That would be Kyle Zimmer, and Zimmer has actually lost that 3rd position back to AJ Digby. So Digby back up into 2nd. He is currently 5.1 seconds behind your race leader. That would be Dave Wilson, but he doesn't have to worry too much, Carlos, because of course we do have the halfway caution, which will bunch the field back up. I'm looking forward to that. So a couple of these drivers out there just have to kind of ride, find their spot. One of those drivers who's kind of riding, finding his spot is Tanner Sharp in the number 3 machine. Good start for him. Tanner started in the 5th position up to 4th. Alan Capers started in 7th. He's up to 5th. Kevin Cochran, he started in the 12th position, currently running in 6th. In fact, he's running not all too far behind Alan Capers, who is currently holding on to a top 5 position as we ride on board with Tanner Sharp in that Perky Pints Will Worthler Racing Chevrolet Camaro, working his way now up into turn number 6.
Tanner Sharp had some slight contact with the 98 in lap 1 or 2. I noticed that. I didn't really think they made contact, but looking at the hood, it is a little bit damaged and crinkled in the side. So he does have some slight damage. Nothing much. Is not really going to affect them. It's not really going to affect him, but there is some damage as Tom Johnson has gone wide. We also have Johnny Barding pushing his vehicle down in the garage. It's in Paris right now, but a tow truck is on the way to pick it up right now. So Johnson. Oh, the 25! No!
Well, that is commentator's curse, ray gun, whatever you want to call it. But Kyle Zimmer.
Oh, Tanner!
Here comes the 3 of Tanner Sharp. He's going way wide there, and all of a sudden, oh, AJ Digby's gone way wide up the front. All of a sudden, all these drivers starting to have some issues. And, oh yeah, that number 25 just broke loose. Couldn't do anything about it. That's a tough break for the 25 of Zimmer. He was able to get that machine righted around, but look at Tanner Sharp doing some rallycross moves back there. This is not a rallycross track, and there's AJ Digby doing rallycross. Carlos, I wonder if this track has really got away from these drivers. Maybe the tire wear is really bad or something,
Here's
because
what I'm
all of a
thinking.
sudden we're seeing a lot of cars out there.
The track is hot and cold in 2 different places. These drivers, they may not understand that while right here in turns 1, it's nice and cool and you can drive it hard. In the back half of the racetrack, it's more warmer, and as you mentioned, with the issue that iRacing has with the track temperature, it's more of an aggressive jump on how the track behaves. So they're driving into turn 1, and they're like, okay, the car's behaving like this, I can drive it into like the last corner and have it behave like this as well, and it won't. And especially in that corner where we saw the 25 spin around and Tanner, that's not really a braking zone. That's a mash the gas, back off a little and turn and hope you make it. You have to angle your car correctly. So it's very precise movements and motions that you have to do.
Oh, Carlos, sorry to cut you off, but The number 3 of Tanner Sharp and the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer made hard contact. Look up, see if we can catch this one on a replay. It happened between turn number 1 and turn number 3, but big contact between both of these drivers. Gonna have to go back maybe a little bit further from that. But there was huge contact between these. Yeah, there you go, through turn number 3. Here we go. We'll see it. You see a bunch of front end damage. There's the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. He got loose coming out of turn number 1. He did everything he could to save it, and just kind of came to a halt there in front of the track. And I think Kyle Zimmer tried to figure out which way that number 3 was going. And just like when you're walking against the grain, you know, at Walmart or whatever, and all of a sudden you and the person walking towards you go the same way,
yep.
You end up running into each other. That's exactly what happened there between the number 3 and the number 25, and Kyle Zimmer had nowhere to go but into the back of that number 3 machine. Both of those cars receiving some pretty heavy damage. We'll have to see if Zimmer can limp his car around. Zimmer's really, really hurting right now in that number 25 machine. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see him on pit road to use a faster pair. It is a long racetrack. It's a very long pit road, however. As you can see that contact looking back out of that number 3 machine. Somehow surprised that our 3-wide TV camera stayed alive looking out back at that number 3 machine, but it did. As we
the 14.
The live broadcast. Oh yeah, what's happened to Digby here?
Alright, well, let's go back and figure it out. This replay camera's really go. Wow, this replay camera's really getting its money worth here tonight. We usually talk about paying the gyro cam a lot, but now the replay camera's getting its money.
Yeah, and Digby here going into turn number 14, the last corner here, going up onto the front straightaway. Oh, a little bit too much beans, Carlos.
Yep,
inside
too much beans.
To the tire barrier. Luckily, he got thrown out of that tire barrier because you can get stuck in that thing, and definitely lost a ton of time. You can see him.
He thought about
getting righted. Yeah, he's going to lose out the spot to the number 3 of Tanner Sharp, who we saw go around just a lap ago, and also the number 13 of Alan Capers, who now finds himself riding in the 4th position in a very good-looking race car. No damage on that number 13 just yet, but this has allowed the number 20 of Dave Wilson to have an insurmountable 25-second lead. Unfortunately for him, though, in about 12 laps, we will have the halfway caution, and that will remove his race lead unless he can somehow magically have a 1-lap lead. But nonetheless, look at AJ Digby closing up on the back of the number 13 machine there on the left side of your screen. You can see that number 13 there just for a split second. But Digby is trying to see if he can get those positions back from these two in front of him.
Alright, please bear with us for just a moment as we're about to go on a radio style commentary as I try to fix a small issue that I've been noticing. Peter, please go ahead and take over for now.
Well, hopefully I can do okay because I have the hiccups right now. Talking too much here in this race, but nonetheless, AJ Digby in the 3rd position. He's stalking both Tanner Sharp and Alan Capers. In fact, I was wrong just a second ago because Alan Capers is currently running in the 3rd position as he goes through Canada corner. Breaks a little bit loose coming out of turn number 12, working their way into turn number 13. Capers pushes that number 13 car a little bit wide there coming out of turn number 13. It's going to allow Digby to have a run. Oh, Capers is off at turn number 14. He's going off into the beach, off into the kitty litter. He's going to lose the 3rd and 4th spots, and also Kevin Cochran going to get through here. It's going to allow Kyle Zimmer to close up onto the back of that number 13 machine. So Kevin Cochran, from starting in the 12th position, now finds himself in 4th position.
There's the replay.
Digby back up into 3rd. Yep, there's the replay. You see he's going off into that kitty litter there. So
pit road,
we're
Zimmer.
starting to sing the praises. Ooh, Kyle Zimmer on pit road. I think he's had enough of that damage, Carlos. I think he's going to come down here.
Heavy damage.
He's going to come down here, get 4 fresh tires, I'm sure, use a fast repair, see what he can make out of the 4 fresh tires. I wouldn't think you would stay on old tires here, but with about 10 laps or so, 11 laps or so until the halfway mark in this race, we'll see if Zimmer decides to take 4 or whether he just decides to take fuel. I do see left side up on that number 25 machine, so it does look like 4 tires and fuel for Kyle Zimmer. There's the number 3 of Tanner Sharp on your screen as you see the 14 of Digby once again struggling with rear end grip, Carlos. We've talked about it before on these road courses. Once you heat up those rear tires, it can kind of be a snowball effect because once they're hot, they get slippery, which causes you to slide through the corners, which causes them to get even hotter, which causes you to slide more, and they It's just a snowball all of a
We
sudden.
talked about it last night. We were doing a broadcast at Circuit Joe Villeneuve. Is that correct? Canadian Motorsports Park.
Yes, Canadian Tire Motorsport. Man,
Not the same
I can't
thing.
even remember what happened yesterday. I can't remember what happened in first grade. I can't remember what happened yesterday. So, you know.
Well, we had a couple drivers. We're not going to go into too details, but we had a couple drivers battling for the win, and one of the drivers was definitely using up his tires towards the end, sliding around, sliding to and fro, and as the laps wound down, it just became harder to drive the car, just because the temperature builds up in the tire, getting worse and worse. At the end, it cost this driver to spin out on the last lap and not be able to contend for a win. So you do have to be careful. I do think the 14 has killed his tires. He just has to hang on to the competition caution and then just retry again and save your tires till the end of the race, because right now, the way the 14 is set up, he's not going to win this race. He may be fast in the first couple laps, but that's not going to do anything if you can't even hold your own for like the last 20 laps.
Yeah, and of course, we're only working lap number 8 right now. Dave Wilson working his way through turn number 6 on lap number 8. So we're just about halfway to the competition caution. This time by, we will be at quarter race distance. Brian Lohead has gone off in Canada corner in that number 66 machine. He currently finds himself 1 lap down in that Napa Auto Parts Chevy Camaro, and you can see him there fighting with the kitty litter to get out of that sand trap. He's going to work his way up through turn number 13 and turn number 14 in the Mountain Dew Voltage Chevrolet. Hasn't had the best of starts, unfortunately, for Brian, finding himself 1 lap down already. I think he's had a little bit of damage on that car, which is prevented. Oh, contact between the 14 and the 3. They both get hung up there. Carlos ray gun once again in full effect.
I may have bought a second one after I shipped it to you.
Pew pew, and looks like that might have got 2 for 1, as we'll see what happened here. The 14 had got around Tanner Sharp, and he was off in the grass, and looked like Digby was trying to come back onto the racetrack and just made contact with Tanner Sharp. We'll see what happens here on the replay, going a little bit further back. You can see Digby out front. Oh yeah, Digby ran way wide.
That was close.
Almost hitting those tire barriers, and then when he came back onto the racetrack, clip.
Not only was that an amazing move by the 14 to not hit the wall, but Tanner Sharp did a great job to not actually get his car fully turned around.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. Meanwhile, Dave Wilson is just out front, pacing away. He's already up to a 30-second lead. In fact, right now, looking at the live timing, is up to 35 seconds. That's a quarter of the lap here at Road America. Here working the quarter race distance. So if this race were to go the distance without caution, we might be talking about Dave Wilson lapping the entire field. Luckily for everyone else and everyone watching here on 3Wide TV on YouTube, if that won't happen, we will get a competition caution. So a couple of these drivers might be just trying to feel out the car and see what they can and can't do. I do expect to see some more of these drivers conserve their tires in the run to the checkered flag as we ride on board with the Zulu Motorsports Ford Mustang of AJ Digby, working his way through turn number 3 right on the back of Kevin Cochran, who's worked his way from the 12th position at the start all the way up into 3rd, and I don't see a scratch on that TaxSlayer.com number 80 Toyota Camry as they work their way now into turn number 4. Actually, excuse me, that's turn number 5. It's difficult to count these corners here because some of them, like I said earlier, they're just slight bends and it counts them as a quarter, but whatever, it is what it is. As that number 80 goes wide there through turn number 6 and into turn number 7 through the hurry downs. Kind of one of the more fun names in all of racing for corners here off into turn number 8 before they get to the carousel. Ooh, car off right in front of them. That's the 66 of Lohead once again. Going off to the beach. Sure, he'll be glad to finally get past all these road course races. In fact, it does look like Lohead, well, he brought his car to a stop for a brief moment to allow Capers to get past. Got to give it to Brian Lohead, though. He's still out there. He's still turning laps.
Yep, Mama ain't race no quitter.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely is not quitting. And we've seen that out of him on these road course races. He doesn't like to quit these races, and I think that's a testament to... Ooh, yep, here comes Digby. Gonna see if he can get past Kevin Cochran here through turn number 13. Bill Mitchell-Ben does get around that number 80 machine, so Digby back up into third position here. Gonna see if he can close back down on Tanner Sharp. Briefly got around Tanner Sharp a few laps ago before those two cars made contact. Maybe a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 14 up onto the straightaway, but Digby, I believe, will hold on to that position. Now he's got about a second up the road to the Will Wursler racing machine of Tanner Sharp. Dave Wilson, still your race leader, 34.6 seconds. Maybe that's actually come down just a little bit from the last lap. Let's see if Wilson might have had an issue on his last lap. Don't think... Oh, he did have an issue, Carlos. Dave Wilson, first time we've seen him have an issue all day long. Getting reports that he went off in turn number 12. That is Canada Corner last lap. So he, with that off track, finally has succumbed to the lack of grip that a lot of these other drivers have been suffering from. So we'll see if that's a recurring thing out of this number 20 machine as he works his way through the carousel.
Yep, the number 20 drove it in there just a little bit too hard. He needs to back off just a little, not make too many mistakes. He does have the ability to make some. He's at this point he's earned a couple chances, but a couple chances used up can really catch up the rest of the field. It doesn't take much to lose a 30 plus second lead.
All it takes is one good hit with the outside retaining wall, and your day could be done. Do want to report that AJ Digby. Yeah, AJ Digby's got it around Tanner Sharp. I think Tanner Sharp just let him by there on the short stretch between turn number 8 and turn number 9. So Digby, Digby a little bit of a wiggle there through turn number 10 onto the short little straightaway here into the kink. And now going through the slight bends known as the kettle bottoms into turn number 12, Canada Corner just up ahead, the hard braking zone. Canada Corner right here, this right-hander. As both of those drivers run a little bit wide. Both of them keep it on the racetrack, though. Now going through turn number 13, that's Bill Mitchell-Ben.
Why don't we take a couple of moments to actually go on board the 3-car spotter audio and take a look at maybe what Tanner's doing and maybe what his spotter's telling him as he's battling here. So we'll be quiet for maybe a lap or two and get in there and see what's going on.
I got a notification here. Welcome to Sharp Motor or Will Wursler Racing. How can I help you?
You are.
Hold on. I gotta let Cochran by.
Cancel that update.
Yep. I gotta clean off these tires here. Alright, we're good.
Yep, you're fine. You got a good lead on capers.
Oh, we got a whip out.
Yep. You're good.
Who was that?
That was Digby. AJ's having a tough time. Everybody is.
Alright, so when we get at, so what's our pit strategy here? Because we're gonna need maybe another pit stop after that competition caution.
Well, I guess that is the decision to be made, whether we take one or not.
When I get on a straightaway, I'll let you know my fuel numbers here. I gotta, just let me kind of get through these corners here.
Yep.
Man, they really gotta pave that area. I hate it.
No pressure from behind.
Alright.
Car off track. Cochran's still off track.
Alright, fuel number, I got 7 laps left right now.
Alright.
I kind of want to stay as long as I can just in case we.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to ride on board with the number 3 of Tanner Sharp with Will Worsler, his spotter there, and that was a very entertaining lap, Carlos.
Yeah.
I think you had the ray gun in full effect there, firing out front of that number 3 machine, as we saw AJ Digby suffer an issue going through turn number 5, and also Kevin Cochran going off at Canada Corner. Tanner Sharp now running in the 3rd position. In light of AJ Digby, he's fallen back to the 5th position after going around in turn number 5. Finds himself 52 seconds behind your race leader, Dave Wilson. There is that number 14 machine. But what about Alan Capers? He's currently running in 4th machine. Once again, still no damage on that Next Level Racing 13. Good run for Alan Capers, just keeping it within the white lines, not really doing anything to upset his tires, keeping that 13 nice and clean. And Carlos, we've seen out of Alan Capers on the road course this year. He tends to be faster as the run goes on. We saw it at the Glen, we saw it at Mid-Ohio. This guy knows how to take care of a road course car.
Yes, true. I want to go ahead and quickly change the subject back to when we were listening on board. There was a lot of help with Will Worsler, who is the Tanner Sharp spotter. Not much really spotting on Will's end, but also because there's really nothing much to spot. But we are seeing a lot of crew chiefing going around. Will asking him, about his fuel and telling him how he's doing. But something that Tanner was mentioning, maybe pitting a second time after the competition caution. But I don't really think that's going to happen, because when Tanner was talking, it was about 12 laps into the race, when he said he had 7 laps left of fuel. So that's going to be just under 20 laps of fuel, about 19, 18 laps of fuel. So you have 13 of Alan Capers going down pit road. This may actually be a strategy. Peter, please take over.
Strategy call, that's what you were trying to say.
Yep.
But with 21 laps to go, this is really about
2
the
laps
1/3
before
race distance.
2 laps before the competition caution, coming in, getting fresh tires, staying out, leading a lap, and leading the race when it goes back to green. This is not really a bad call.
It's not a bad call. I think what he might do under the competition caution is he actually might come down pit road once again, but only get fuel, possibly, because he's not going to be able to make it to the end from here on fuel.
I don't know, 15 laps plus.
You
plus
heard.
Plus a couple caution laps. I think it's more than good enough.
Well, we have 21 laps to go, and we heard when Tanner Sharp and Will Worsler were talking on the radio, he said he had about 7 laps of fuel left. So it looks like it's about 17 laps on fuel. 17 or 18 laps of fuel is what a full tank will give you. So I think that he might be a few laps short in that number 13 machine. So we'll have to see if he decides to come down pit road, maybe get a splash of fuel during the competition caution, or exactly what Alan Capers' strategy is.
Digby definitely needs tires.
Yeah, Digby there struggling once again. I saw Dave Wilson actually go off this past lap too. He went off, I believe, in turn number 5 in that Viagra Toyota Camry. So everyone in the whole field struggling with tires and grip. Kevin Cochran in the number 80 machine, he's gone off a couple times, but currently running in the 2nd position. Tanner Sharp is currently in 3rd. Oh man, Digby just struggled. Oh, Tanner Sharp's gone around, going through Thunder Valley, the run between turn number 12 and the turn number 13. He's going to get righted, going back straight. We'll go see. Oh, he's in the inside wall again. Tanner Sharp coming to a stop in turn number 13. AJ Digby coming up on the scene. We'll see what happens here on the replay.
He misshifted.
And it looks like he either misshifted or just a little bit too much beans there, Carlos.
No, that seemed a little bit too excessive or too much beans. Let's go on board and see what happened.
Now we'll see what happened here. And there was a little bit of dirt on the racetrack. You can see just up ahead.
Oh yeah, no, that's that could just be too much beans. I guess that probably wouldn't be an example of too much beans. That would probably be an example of just turning the wheel too harsh. And then he does it again. Now that's too much beans. and pounce the front of the inside wall again. That's heavy damage, and he's going to lose a couple position again. Right there, see the 14 that just went by him on the replay. He's in pit road
Carlos,
now.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Number 3 on pit road right now. Tanner Sharp coming to a stop. Here's the number 98 of Christopher Burr. She's coming down pit road as well. So a couple takers on pit road.
Because this is the last green flag lap.
Yeah, just before the competition caution. There's the number 13 of Alan Capers. He's going to stay out. The number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. We haven't really talked about Kyle Zimmer as of late. But that number 25 machine was heavily damaged in contact with the number 3 of Tanner Sharp not too long ago. And Kyle Zimmer making a great recovery, currently in the 7th position. There's the number 9 of Tim Masters. First car 1 lap down, the only car 1 lap down.
32 milliways. Caution!
Oh,
the
competition caution.
I thought there was a wreck. Oh, look at that! Wow, did you see that? The 98 of Christopher Birch just almost got himself a lap down. So this is going to work out for the 98. However, now the real struggle is, and for anybody that's raced in a league that has competition cautions in a road course, the struggle is going to be getting everybody back together. They added 3 additional laps to help prevent loss of actual race time due to postponing the yellow, because not everybody's caught up. It's happened many times in leagues we've been in. It's happened to leagues that I've seen personally. You have to be careful. Everybody needs to drive their best. These guys that aren't the lead, everybody who isn't the leader, they're still going 100%. They're not slowing down, or at least they shouldn't be slowing down, because they actually do slow down. They're not going to catch up in time.
Yeah, Jeff Schmidt also just messaged out to all the teams and says, do not pit until everyone is bunched up. So once this field is bunched up, pit road will be open for all these drivers to come down pit road. There is your race leader, driver of the number 20, Dave Wilson.
Do you want to go
working
talk to
his
him?
way now through turn number 8 into turn number 9 and 10. Now we'll see if we can catch up with Dave Wilson. Let's see if we can wait until after the pit stops there. It's a fairly long...
It's going to be a long time till after pit stops.
Well, it's also going to be a long time, enough time to talk to him after pit stops. But let's see. Let's let him get his strategy all worked out, his pit crew situated and such, as he works his way now through the run up to Canada Corner, known as the Kettle Bottoms. There's the number 80 machine going through the hurry downs.
41 seconds
turn number 8. Yeah, currently a lot of seconds behind. But this whole field, they're going to have to catch up to the pace car. And let it be known that the number 20 machine hasn't even reached the pace car yet. Dave Wilson going through the final corner. Pace car is currently on pit road. So as soon as that pace car is deployed, I will expect to see Dave Wilson start to slow down. In fact,
honestly,
he's already slowing down.
Here, the 20 should be slowing down and stopping to not prevent that pace car from triggering out. I think it's too late now, but the best call would have been, and I'll be talking to Jeff about this in the future, just preventing that pace car from deploying at all costs. Slowing down the 20 and stopping them so everybody bunches up. That would actually be a guaranteed way to not lose laps under caution. So I'll be sure to write that down and send it over to Jeff next time by. His pace car is out now, and it's about 37 seconds till second place. See, second place hasn't even gone into the next lap yet. They're on the hill. They're just cresting the hill right now, and they're going to cross the line now. And then third place. Third place is 30 seconds behind second place.
Yeah, I was going to say Chris Roberge in the number 98 machine is the number 9 there. Tim Masters going off through turn number 13. Bill Mitchell Bend. There's the number 14 of AJ Digby, currently being scored the 3rd car on track, but he's got a lot of damage, and he's been screaming for fresh tires this entire race. Oh, the 25, Kyle Zimmer. A little bit too much there going into Canada Corner, turn number 12. And here's the number 17 in front of Matos right behind him. Of course, the field is frozen, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot gain or lose positions on
Tanner
the
not repaired
racetrack.
Damage?
Doesn't look like
this is different damage.
This looks like new damage. Yeah, this looks like new damage, Carlos, because he had all that rear end damage. Now he's got some front end damage. All right, we're gonna go on a hunt, see what happened to Tanner Sharp. Where did this front end damage come from?
I got it right here.
Doesn't look like it's.
Oh no,
Let's
sorry.
see what
I
happened
lied to
here.
you. I lied to you. I don't have it yet.
It happened on lap number 14, Carlos, going through the kink, turn number 11.
I got it right
on
here.
his way into Kettle Bottoms, yes. Here you go. You can see what happens right here to this number 3 Porcupines Will Whistler racing machine. A little bit too much power into going off track there, into that grass, into the outside wall, and then impaled the other side of the racetrack. Loads of damage to number 3 Porcupines Chevy Camaro.
So that good
I do expect
strategy-
to see Tanner Sharp on pit road once again to get that damage repaired.
That good strategy that Tanner had has gone out the window. He's gonna have to come down pit road again. And at this point, that he's run about three laps of full on 100%. Just get fresh tires. You're gonna be in the back anyway. Maybe pass a couple cars if you only take fuel and repair your damage. But at this point, you run all those laps. You're not gonna be the leader. Take the tires, start in the back, and work your way up front cautiously.
Yeah, with how much of a struggle tires have been tonight here, Carlos, I wouldn't be all surprised to see if a couple of these drivers decide to split this last run into two. I'm looking at the lap times of Dave Wilson, and he ran a 2:10.761. That was his fastest lap of the race on lap number 5, but he was running 2:12s by the end of the run with a little bit of inconsistency due to the tire wear. And just, there's been so much inconsistency at a lot of the tires due to the lack of grip tonight that it's definitely upsetting some of these drivers going off into the gravel and such. So it'll be interesting to see if we see a few strategies here play out. But Dave Wilson here coming up onto pit road.
Not everybody's there. Not everybody's there.
Yep. Not everyone has bunched up yet. That was the rule that Jeff Schmidt, league organizer, has put out there. And currently Chris Roberge, he's the last car on the racetrack in line. He's currently working his way up through Kettle Bottoms into Canada Corner, turn number 12. There he is, right behind the number 57 of Tom Johnson. And there is the pace car here pacing around. They will have about one more lap to come down pit road. Now, Carlos, what would be very interesting is if pit road is closed this next time by and they won't be able to pit under caution.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking of. I'm sure Jeff and the other official will have no problem clearing yellow flags. My question is, any difficulties that arise from that, especially any driver that stays out, would probably have an advantage. And not to mention that clearing all those black flags, those drivers are still going to be single file. Tanner Sharp's in the pit road. Tanner Sharp is probably going to take a penalty for this. Maybe, I'm not sure, but he's in pit road for this right now.
Yeah, I think Tanner Sharp is possibly a little bit concerned that number 3 machine might blow up with all that damage on the front end. And that's why I think he's on pit road here out of just the necessity of coming down to get a fresh engine. They do have fast repairs in the SimPossible Racing League. If you're joining us for the first time here on YouTube on 3 Wide TV, the SimPossible Racing League is a league for disabled drivers. All the drivers in this league have disabilities ranging in severity, but nonetheless they're all out there on the racetrack showing what they're made of, overcoming whatever obstacle is put in their way. A couple of these drivers in this field racing with SimAbility rigs and hand controls and stuff like that. They really do an absolute mastercraft of showing what they're capable of here in the SimPossible Racing League. It's definitely something that I could not do. I need pedals myself, but to see some of these drivers use their hands not only to turn these wheels, but to brake and to accelerate on a very, very, very difficult road course that is Road America, this 4-mile, 14-turn racetrack. They do such a good job of it, putting on a show for us each and every week here on 3 White TV. It's a fantastic league to be a part of. A great group of people, and it's a lot of fun. In fact, if you're interested to learn a little bit more about the SimPossible Racing League, our league organizer, Jeff Schmidt, he was recently on a podcast. I'll have to see if I can grab the name of that podcast. I think it's iRacers Lounge. And he was on that podcast for the first 16 minutes of their last episode that came out just a few days ago. So go check out the iRacers Lounge podcast. Go listen to Jeff Schmidt. talk about this league. He is the league owner and organizer. Just kind of goes into the history of the league and what some of these drivers do each and every week and what the league is all about. It really is a great place for these guys to go out and have fun. Around tricky tracks like this and around quite a bit of ovals, it really is a fun group to be a part of. If you know of a person, a driver, or you yourself might be interested in joining the SimPossible Racing League, go check them out. Go Google the SimPossible Racing League. There's a form. You sign up on the SimPossible Racing League website. That goes to league organizer Jeff Schmidt, and you'll get an invite very, very quickly to the league. As you see all of these cars now working their way through turn number 13, turn number 14. Pit road should be open this time. I expect to see the number 20 of Dave Wilson lead them down pit road. Billy Wise in that number 32 machine. He is actually the first car one lap down, so I think he will actually get the wave around here once he comes down pit road, or after they all leave pit road. He should be coming back to being on the lead lap. Unfortunately, that looks like it might just put Tim Masters in the number 9 machine one lap down. Can say that one driver did stay out, ladies and gentlemen. That is the number 13 of Alan Capers, as pace car lights are off. Capers, remember, he pitted with, I think, 21 laps to go or so after 12 laps on the racing circuit. So Capers has quite a bit more fuel than these other drivers out there. But you see everyone now headed down to their pit box.
No, quite a bit less fuel.
Well, now he will have quite a bit less fuel, but he had quite a bit more than they had prior to this pit stop. As you see, ooh, there we go, the cameraman looking at the
I choose only the greatest camera angles in the world.
Only the greatest camera angles in the world. I want to give a shout out to SimTV for the camera angles all the way around this racetrack. They give us some very, very good cameras. They put a lot of hard work into those cameras. You see everyone leaving their pit box there. Looks like AJ Digby in that number 14 machine. He's going to have a very, very long stop. Leaves quite a few spots on pit road. But pace car lights are off. We're going to get set to go back to green flag racing. That should be good here. And Carlos, it does look like the black flag police was out in full force under this pit sequence, as Dave Wilson, Kyle Zimmer, Kevin Cochran, AJ Digby, Fernando Matos, and Tom Johnson all had black flags cleared, but I think that was probably due to the fact that pit road was actually closed. League organizer Jeff Schmidt wanted them to kind of all bunch up before coming down pit road, so he just had to do a little bit of extra work as the league admin. There's the number 3 machine of Tanner Sharp.
The big question is if Tanner's going to get penalized, because I believe he did go down pit road with the rest of the field. And yes, he did, but he did not take any tires. He was only there for, I'm sorry, I'm a liar, ignore me.
We've heard that many, many times. Our producer, Carlos Acosta, is a liar. We've learned to zone him out when he's talking over behind us, and unfortunately, he's in the booth with us tonight.
Yeah, Cam's on vacation. Thank you, Cam. This is all your fault.
Gosh, Cam, it's actually always Cameron's fault. We sometimes blame it on you, Carlos, but we know deep down it's always Cameron's fault. Cameron, we love you, and hopefully you're having a good time on your vacation wherever you may be in this beautiful world. But we will have a 15-lap shootout around this place, Carlos. It should be a lot of fun.
You know who can't take a vacation?
You?
Yeah, because then there would be no broadcast. I need to train somebody to do what I do.
Yeah, get someone else to download ATVO and maybe get the stream key and whatnot and do this for you, so you can get a free week off.
Free week? That's all okay, anyway. I want to take a quick moment to address a couple comments. Travis Zudema, hey, how you doing, Travis? Travis is asking, why is there a pace car and not just local cautions? There are local cautions, but for the first time this season, they elected to have a halfway competition caution to give everybody a breather, let everybody catch up, get themselves organized, and then retry it again. So that's why there is a caution for this race. There shouldn't be another caution for tonight.
Yeah, green flag to the end from here. And Carlos, with how slippery this racetrack has been all night long, I don't blame them. They kind of needed this caution flag to kind of reset, chill out, and And now we're going to get set to go back to green flag racing as the pace car will head down pit road here.
Oh, with the 9
Car
as
right
well.
corner. Ooh, yeah, Tim Masters headed down pit road. I think he took the wave around, Carlos, to possibly get back on the lead lap, maybe? I'm not 100% sure, but nonetheless, green flag is in the air. That will allow Dave Wilson to start to mount his charge, looking back up at the front. First few laps, he has not led tonight because the number 13 of Alan Capers is up in the front. Look at this battle between the number 32, Billy Wise, and the number 25 of the number 32, stacking them up a little bit there in the back. I have a little bit of a checkup by the number 17 of Fernando Matos and the number 14 of AJ Digby. You see that number 14 machine. Oh, contact in the back between the 14 and the 17. The 17 is off here. And oh, contact between the 17 and the 32. And the 17 of Matos has gone into the wall there. And Billy Wise has gone around. We'll go back and see this one on the 3-wide TV replay. But it all happened with contact between the 14 of Digby and the 17 of Matos. Look at this lunge by the 14 down the inside. There's that contact. AJ Digby using a little bit of bumper cars to get around turn number 3. And unfortunately, Fernando Matos and Billy Wise, it did not pan out for them as both of them go off the racetrack. Oh, contact between the 25 of Zimmer and the 14 of Digby. Man, contact all over the racetrack here on this restart. We can go back and see if we can see that one on replay, but the 25 of Zimmer got sideways coming out of turn number 6. Here we go on the replay. See, locked up the front brakes, and that number 25 a little bit too much beans. And oof, right into the number 14 machine. So Digby playing a little bit of bumper cars here on this restart. Alan Capers has lost the race lead to Dave Wilson. Capers ran wide coming out of the carousel, turn number 10. There he is. He's still running wide. Here comes Chris Roberge. Roberge is looking to the inside, going through the kettle bottoms, off into Canada corner. Will the Canadian driver make the pass through Canada corner? Not yet. Yes. No. Yes. Oh, a little bit of nudge.
Oh no!
And now he's gone around. He's hitting the oil slick in Canada corner. Now he's in the tire barrier. The number 98 machine turned around now. Here comes Kyle Zimmer, making his way past the number 98 machine. My oh my, Carlos, action all over the racetrack. Kyle
The trees!
Around, coming out of turn number 13. As we see that contact on replay, we'll see what happened to Kyle Zimmer in the number 25 machine. He's just now coming back onto the racetrack, but my oh my, just chaos all around this racetrack on this restart. Here he is, coming through turn number 13, gets sideways there, and boom. Almost hits the inside wall, is able to stay off the inside wall just barely. But my oh my, all this action has allowed Dave Wilson to scoot ahead in that number 20 machine. He's pretty much, I think, been the only driver who has stayed on the racetrack for the entire first lap after this restart and has been able to take the lead because of it. Just chaos around this 4-mile racetrack. Doesn't matter where you turn, there's always something happening here. Looks like Kevin Cochran might have had a run on Digby in the number 14 machine, but he just decided to back out of it. So we'll keep an eye on Cochran, who's currently running in 5th. We've seen him run as high as 3rd in this race, the number 14 of Digby. We've seen him run as high as 2nd in this one. Tanner Sharp now in the Will Worsler Racing machine there at the top of your screen coming through turn number 7. He is now your 3rd place car on the racetrack. Alan Capers still holding strong in the number 13 and 2nd after restarting as your race leader. But we've seen a lot of action out of these two drivers here tonight, Carlos, Digby and Tanner Sharp.
Tim Masters is in pit road. He's been there for over a minute and a half, so it could be an early night for Tim. Other than that, the only driver on the track that's a lap down or more is Billy Wise, who's currently 1 lap down. So, should on the rare occasion a caution comes out, which the only way this could happen is if somebody makes an accident and clicks caution. Billy Wise will get the lucky dog, but going into it, everybody's almost spread up by this point. This would be technically the closest quote-unquote battle. But that being said, these positions aren't going to stay the same. There's going to be a driver or two that makes a couple mistakes and giving up a couple positions. Yeah, I'm interested to see how the 14 is going to approach this last half of the race. See if he's going to drive it the same as it was, or if he's going to take it easy, keep his tires nice and clean, and try to make it to the end of the race without making too many mistakes. That's something that was plaguing him this first half.
Yeah, absolutely. Here comes Digby. Digby gonna dive to the inside of that number 3 machine in turn number 1. One of the best passing spots on this entire racetrack, and he's gonna take that 3rd position from Tanner Sharp. So move Tanner back to 3rd. Although he's got
Tanner.
a lunge here. Oh, he's off the racetrack.
He was good, and then he clipped 2 tires on the grass, and that just wouldn't allow his car to turn.
Yeah, that's very easy to do in that corner, especially when you're following a car so closely. I know I've done it myself, Carlos. You just lose your reference point when you're so close behind a car. When you're the driver looking out of your front windshield, you can't see the white line anymore, and you just hit that grass just a little bit, and that's exactly what happens. There's the number 32, Billy Wise. He's on pit road. I think Billy Wise, I thought he was going to get the lucky dog there because he was the first car 1 lap down. But
he still is.
I guess, yeah, he is still the first car 1 lap down, so I'm not quite sure why he didn't receive the lucky dog. He is on pit road right now, though. He's going to come down, get 4 tires, fuel, and 4 fresh tires in his pit box. As you see, the number 98 of Christopher Burge. Now he's trying to track down the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. Tanner Sharp, your points leader, has now fallen to the 5th car on the racetrack as he's been passed by both Digby and Kevin Cochran.
Kevin's been running a great race. He's been very quiet, but he's been in the spotlight. He's kind of been hiding in plain sight here tonight. Very clean car. I don't think I've seen a single piece of damage this whole race. I know we just had a caution where people went down pit road, but even before that, I don't think he had a single ounce of contact.
Yeah, and oh, Alan Capers in the number 13. He's ran wide in Canada corner, and that has allowed the 14 of Digby to get on pass. We'll see if we can catch this one on the 3-wide TV replay. I think he just ran wide in Canada corner. There you go. You saw a brief moment. We'll see if we can catch it a little bit more here as he is now working his way towards Canada corner here on the replay. You can see that sunlight there. We've mentioned that a couple times here tonight, heating up the racetrack in certain portions of the racetrack, and he just could not get that 13 machine woed up in time for the corner. See it him doing a little bit of monster jam over the bumps out there, but that has allowed AJ Digby to retake the 2nd position, at least for now, as they work their way through turn number 3 onto the first long straightaway, or maybe the 2nd long straightaway if you want to consider the front straightaway the first long straightaway. Anyway, either way, there's the number 20 of Dave Wilson, your race leader. He's 10 seconds in front of AJ Digby here tonight. Already just a few laps into this green flag run. He's really put on a masterclass of keeping that number 20 machine nice and clean on the racetrack, minimizing his mistakes, and that's really been the name of the game tonight, Carlos, is minimizing mistakes.
That's true. Sorry, I was having to deal with a quick issue here. No broadcast issue though. Everything's doing good so far. Taking a look now, the current. Actually, you know what? This could be a great time to go through the field.
Yeah, let's go through the field. And Dave Wilson there, he is your race leader, like I was mentioning just a minute ago. Has kept that number 20 on the racetrack for, he's more often than not. And he's had a few off-track excursions here tonight, but nothing major. And that number 20 is nice and clean. Still running very good lap times last time by. Fastest race car on the racetrack. And just hitting his marks lap after lap. Clean sailing for the number 20. Currently in the 2nd position. It hasn't quite been clean sailing tonight for AJ Digby in the number 14 machine. But AJ currently riding in 2nd. Has been able to get around the number 13 of Alan Capers somewhat recently. And AJ Digby trying to close in on Dave Wilson here with now 11 laps to go. Currently running in the 3rd position, that is lucky number 13, Alan Capers. Not any cones for him to kill here tonight. At least none that I've seen, not yet. Of course, I say that, and usually he'll try and find something by the end of the race. But Alan Capers, actually, I take that back. Capers has actually had an off track. He was scored 3rd position last time by, but now Kevin Cochran there in the number 80 machines in the 3rd position. So we'll just discuss Capers as he's now back to 4th position. To regain that position. Kevin Cochran in the number 80 machine. Let's see if we can focus on Cochran here for just a moment. We've kind of talked about him in passing here tonight. He's pretty quiet in that number 80 machine, but quiet has been the name of the game. Because like I mentioned just a minute ago or so...
Hold on.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we are back here on 3YTV. Sorry for that little hiccup. You haven't missed anything out there on the racetrack as we watch the number 80 of Kevin Cochran. And what I was trying to say is Kevin has had a very quiet night. He's kept that number 80 machine on the racetrack, and quiet has been good for him tonight, minimizing a lot of mistakes and been able to keep that TaxSlayer.com number 80 machine always up near the front of the racetrack, currently sitting in the podium position. Fourth is where we'll find Alan Capers. We highlighted him just a minute ago. He is currently in front of Tanner Sharp in the 3 machine. Let's see if we can focus on Tanner in that Will Worsler Racing Machine Porcupine Chevy Camaro. And it does look like we actually might be still suffering some connection issues, possibly. We'll see what we can get here on... here on 3Y TV. Currently the YouTube stream is delayed, but I currently see some issues with it. We're currently stuck looking at Kevin Cochran.
Maybe refresh it. It's looking good on my end.
It's looking good on my end now. I just had to refresh it. You're right, Carlos. Magic. So a little bit of hiccup here in the mid part of the race. We're sorry for that here on 3Y TV. Hopefully,
this is extremely rare.
Yeah, I think this was the first time we really had any type of connection issues from what I can remember in quite some time. But nonetheless, let's get back to the race because number 3 of Tanner Sharp there working his way now through turn number 5. He's trying to close in on Alan Capers. Remember, Capers was on some older tires, so Tanner Sharp on the fresher tires. He's going to see if he can get around that number 13 nice and quickly, and Capers goes off track right in front of him. Let's see if we can go on board with the number 3 of Tanner Sharp here as this battle for the 4th position is nice and hot. Here we go, headed down into turn number 8. This little left bend before going into the carousel. You can just see, Carlos, looks like that number 3 machine is getting onto the throttle just a little bit better, and I think that's due to the fact that Tanner has a little bit fresher tires.
Those fresh tires could be a difference because remember, Alan Capers, even though he did short pit early in, he did have to run out 3+ laps under caution at full speed to catch back up with the rest of the group, and then everybody went down pit road. Pardon me, now I have the hiccups. Thank you, Peter. So it's fresh tires, but it's also at this point really worn out tires as well.
Yeah, and that was a fantastic side-by-side battle there between the number 13 and the number 3. Looks like for now, though, Capers will hold on to that position. It's really difficult to run side-by-side down there through Kettle Bottoms, but nonetheless, Tanner Sharp trying to close in on the number 13 machine, and while that battle has cooled off for just a moment, let's continue going through the field. There's the number 98 machine of Chris Roberge. Roberge has had a pretty quiet night. He's been able to keep that number 98 Canada machine on the racetrack more often than not as he heads off into turn number 1. Just a pretty solid night. You see no damage on that machine. So all in all, he's going to see if he can move up past possibly the 13 and the number 3 as this race goes on. He's only about 3 seconds behind, actually 2 seconds behind the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. Another 2.5 seconds behind Chris Roberge, you'll find the number 17 of Fernando Matos. And remember, Fernando was way off the race course coming through turn number 3 after this last restart, after a little bit of contact with the number 14 of AJ Digby. Fernando trying to rally his way back up through the field in that number 17 machine, doing a good job closing in on Chris Roberge. Behind Fernando Matos, you'll find the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer, and unfortunately for Kyle Zimmer, it's been one to forget. A little bit of damage early on in the race. Then he came down pit road, got that damage repaired, and then in that last restart, he had a little bit of a snafu, and unfortunately spun that number 25 right around, and he's trying to recover after that one. Currently 19 or so seconds behind the number 17 of Fernando Matos in the 18th position, but his last lap was actually his fastest lap of the race so far, so Zimmer starting to make some strides and some improvements. We'll see if Zimmer will be able to gain any more positions here in the last 9 laps. currently running in the 9th position is the 57 of Tom Johnson. Tom is about 14 seconds behind Kyle Zimmer. He started this race in the 8th position, currently running 9th. And Tom Johnson in that number 57 Ford Cobra. Currently doesn't look like he's got any damage on that machine, so I think he's just out there trying to get to the end without any damage, keeping that car on the racetrack. He's done a good job of keeping that car clean here tonight. There he is working his way through the carousel. Let's keep an eye on Tom Johnson as this race continues to wind down because he, as I say, he's done a good job of keeping it between the lines. He decides to have a little bit of off-track excursion. Yeah, just mowing the grass there, coming out of turn number 10. Now going through the kink. Good night for Tom Johnson, solidly inside the top 10. Billy Wise in the number 32 machine, and uh-oh. That's not a good look for that number 32 machine. Reversing his way out of Canada corner. We'll see what happened here in the 3-wide TV replay. I think he hit the grass there, and I think that messed up the braking zone. Tried to lock him up, but it wasn't enough, and hard into the tire barrier. Billy is currently the 10th place driver, the only car 2 laps down. Tim Masters, who is behind him on the racetrack in the 11th position. He's currently on pit road. So Tim Masters was the last running car. Technically, he could still make it out of pit road, but Tim Masters is on pit road in 11th position. So that takes you through the field of all your running drivers. Brian Lohead and Johnny Berardi both have taken their machines to the garage here.
Oh!
8 laps to go. Fernando Matos going way wide through the grass. And we've seen a little bit of contact between the 3 and I think the 14 right there through that corner earlier in this race. This time, though, both of those drivers able to keep it clean. So Matos is going to get past Roberge and move up into the 6th position. And there is AJ Digby, not quite able to close in on your race leader, Dave Wilson. He's running a few tenths slower than Wilson, but he's definitely supplanted himself as the 2nd place runner. He's about 9 seconds up the road from the number 80 of Kevin Cochran, and Cochran's 8 seconds up the road from Alan Capers. But Capers, Sharp are both pretty close to each other. There they are in this battle for 4th position. You see that number 3 machine locked at the right front tire. That's going to hurt his lap time just a little bit. And Carlos Tanner's been trying to get around that number 13 here for quite a few laps now.
He's just having a really hard time trying to do so, but you may not really have to wait long because the 13 goes wide now that I was pressing on that ray gun garden to help Tanner win this battle for position. As now Tanner's finding himself in 4th place. I do apologize, Alan. Tanner is paying me really, really well, and the check is in the mail.
And Carlos, I'm looking at the number 80 machine, Kevin Cochran. And yeah, he's got a lot of damage on that machine. I unfortunately, for whatever reason, I'm unable to see exactly what happened to that number 80 machine, but it happened going through turn number 1 and 2 last lap.
What's this? Did it just get fixed?
Turn number 1.
Hold on. What? What?
Magic, Carlos. Magic.
Hacks!
Your ray gun.
Hacks!
Your ray gun did the opposite this time.
I guess that's what happens when I set it to Wumbo.
Oh, there you go. We'll just keep it on that setting, for goodness sakes. But yeah, that number 80 machine, it was pretty crumpled up there, and all of a sudden now it's back to full.
It does
strength,
have a little bit of some damage there, but I think that could just be a graphical issue. No, it's a clean car.
Oh. Well, yeah, okay. Maybe turn it off, Wumbo. The number 80 just ran wide. They're going through turn number 8. Kevin Cochran's found his way back onto the racing surface. So hopefully Cochran is out there and hopefully he's not having any issues. As we now have 7 laps to go. This time by, we'll have 6 laps to go around this 14-turn, 4-mile race course. The longest road course that we go to all season long here in the SimPossible Racing League. In fact, it's one of the longest road courses in the whole world, believe it or not, at 4 miles long. However, not as long as the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
I was just thinking about that.
Now, I want to see SimPossible Racing League go to the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Oh, that would be an event.
Maybe a 5-lap event around that joint or something like that. Hustling these B cars around that place. It would be an absolute spectacle to see. Very, very difficult. I would think much more difficult than here tonight at Road America, but nonetheless, that would be an interesting race. Maybe we could talk to Jeff Schmidt, see if we can put together some kind of fun race around that joint. Very technical racetrack, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, of course, somewhat recently added to the iRacing service, probably about a year ago or so now.
Still very, very hardware intensive.
Yes, yeah, one of the most hardware intensive
racetracks. Oh no! There it goes!
Leader. Dave Wilson hard in the inside wall, and Carlos.
I dropped the ray gun.
Wumbo gun. Carlos with his Wumbo gun has struck your race leader Dave Wilson. Bunch of front end damage to that number 20 machine, but this is going to be the battle for the race lead now, ladies and gentlemen, because that mistake by Dave Wilson has allowed the number 14 of AJ Digby to close up, now within 4.5 seconds of the race lead.
10 seconds lost.
If the damage to the number 20 is bad, you could see this number 14 close in. We'll have 5 laps to go this time by, but a little bit too much beans out of that number 20 machine. And into the wall it went. So let's keep an eye on lap times here. We have 5 laps to go this time. About 5 seconds separating your top 2, and I can definitely tell that number 20 machine is a little bit down on power on the straightaways. Digby is already closed in about half a second in half a lap. So there is time, folks, for that number 14 of AJ Digby to close in on this race lead now, with Dave Wilson managing a damaged race car. That Toyota Camry going up the hill on the front stretch here. Will be interesting to see what type of top speed difference between these two cars there is on the front stretch. Dave Wilson right now going at about 175 miles an hour to AJ Digby, who hit, well, I say that, Digby hit about the same speed. So maybe not as much of a difference between these two as I was thinking, but right now the race lead is only 3.8 seconds between this man, Dave Wilson, and AJ Digby, who's not all too far behind him as they work their way now through turn number 4, this long sweeping right-hander down this straightaway.
He is gaining. Slowly, but he is gaining on David Wilson. This is going to be very interesting. I think with the small gains, it may not be enough, but we have to wait for the next lap to see what type of difference it actually does truly make. The previous lap before Dave, I'm shutting down.
What? What? Well, that could be the quote of the year, but it's just like winning the lap. But make a note that Fernando Matos in the number 17 machine is actually closing in on the number 13 of Alan Capers. Those two cars running fairly similar lap times last time, but Fernando Matos was a couple of tenths faster as Tim Masters has taken his number 9 machine to the garage. So we'll have to keep an eye on that battle for what is currently the fifth position between Capers and Fernando Matos. Tanner Sharp finds himself in the 4th position, a couple of seconds behind the number 80 of Kevin Cochran. And Cochran is about 16 seconds behind the number 14 of AJ Digby. Carlos, this will be the telltale signs of whether or not that number 14 will be able to close in on the number 20. And if I'm looking at live timing and scoring...
He's been losing some time.
Yeah, he's been losing some time. Digby has actually lost about a second to that number 20 machine. So it looks like that damage to Wilson's car might not be too bad.
I feel that the damage to Wilson's car is significant, but I feel like AJ Digby's making too many mental errors on the track to actually make up the difference and get himself in a position to win the race.
Yeah, Digby lost a full second that last lap. 2-minute 11.9 run by Dave Wilson to Digby's 2-minute 13.0. So, yeah, just about a second between those two last lap. And now we're down to 4 laps to go. Digby's going to have to really buckle down and turn in the qualifying lap, see if he's going to have any shot at catching this man. Of course, Wilson could slip up and make another mistake. Of course, Carlos, you do hold the ray gun that fires invisible banana peels onto the racing circuit.
Oh, Peter. I realized who I didn't ship it to you. I shipped it to Cam.
Oh.
Cam's the one pressing all those ray guns buttons.
Oh, he's just randomly firing up in the air. Not quite sure if he's even watching this race. Haven't seen Cameron Rich in the chat here tonight. If you're just now joining us, Cameron Rich is on vacation this week, and that's why he's not up here in the booth with Carlos and I. But Carlos and I are having a good time. Oh boy, what kind of vacation is that?
We have excellent benefits here at 3Y TV. We get paid vacation.
Oh, so we say that the number 13 of Alan Capers locked him up going into turn number 5. And he's going to allow the 17 of Fernando Montes to close up on him just a little bit more. Anyway, continue on, Carlos.
No, that's it. Just paid vacation.
Yeah, I wish I had paid vacation.
Where do I
sign up for that one? Where do I sign up for that one? Anyway, there is the number 13 of Alan Capers. And remember, he's on the oldest tires currently on the racetrack. He actually pitted a whopping 17 and a half laps ago in that number 13 machine. It's almost kind of a question of whether or not he'll be able to make it to the end. We'll have to wait and see whether Capers can make it to the end or not. But he's currently out there on the racetrack in front of the number 17 of Fernando Matos. And there is the number 3 of Tanner Sharp, however.
What was that?
I had to take a breath in the middle of saying Matos. I still got it out, though. It's okay. If you're just now joining us here on 3Wide TV, it's always interesting when our producers in the booth, you wouldn't believe what we hear each and every race in our ears behind the microphone.
Like, good job, guys.
Behind the iron microphone.
You guys are doing good.
We hear that after the race, but during the race is a completely different story. As there is your race leader, Dave Wilson. Can confirm that Digby actually lost another 3/10, so now he's 5 seconds adrift of Wilson up at the front. So Wilson, after making that mistake, that hard contact with the inside wall, he's begun to find his rhythm again. And for Digby, he's trying everything he can, but it looks like it might just be a little bit too short here as we have 2.5 laps to go. He's working his way through turn number 6. Into turn number 7 in the hurry downs. Very, very quick right-hander, almost flat out. You just have to flip the throttle going through turn number 7 and then hard braking into turn number 8 here. Use as much of the runoff as possible. Also use as much curbing as possible. And then into turn number 9 and turn number 10. Get that late apex out of turn number 10 to straighten up the car to get a good launch onto this little short straightaway. And then into turn number 11, which you definitely have to back off for turn number 11. It's not flat out the kink, as they call it, as they now work their way through the kettle bottoms off into turn number 12, which is this hard braking zone and the right-hander that follows. Off into Thunder Valley, which is this run up from turn number 12 into turn number 13 here, which is Bill Miller Bend. Then the last corner on the race circuit, which is where we find Dave Wilson right now, going to come get the 2 laps to go. The white and checker flag in the flagman's hand to signal 2 laps, 8 miles around the Road America road course left to go in tonight's 132-lap feature event for the SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series. Dave Wilson trying to sweep the road courses here in the first 2/3 of the season. There's only 1 road course left to go after this. That would be at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval in a couple months. Next week we have Darlington Raceway, a completely different type of racetrack, an egg-shaped oval, 1.366 miles in length. However, out of all their ovals, Carlos, I think perhaps only Martinsville races closer to a road course than Darlington. Darlington's a very tricky racetrack.
That's true, and I want to see how these drivers perform there. Maybe, possibly have a throwback scheme or something. I don't know. I haven't really heard much about these drivers and what they plan to do for Darlington, but I am excited for that race. I'm also excited to see if there's going to be any type of thrilling finish here tonight, or if David Wilson's just going to run away with it. It was a bit exciting there when Wilson lost control for no reason on my end whatsoever.
Hey, And Carlos, again, sorry to interrupt, but I want to see if we can go back and watch the number 17 of Fernando Matos on replay about half a lap ago.
It's a bit of a tall order.
A bit of a tall order, maybe about 30 seconds ago, 30 to 45 seconds ago. We'll see if we can find this on the replay, but there was a pass for position between a little bit further back than that. Let's see if we can go just back a little bit more. A little bit more.
Oh, I see.
There we go. A little bit more. There we go. Now let's see what happened here. Looks like there's a pass for the 5th position between the 13 of Alan Capers and the number 17 of Fernando Matos, and I think Capers just locked him up going into
the
Canada
trees.
corner here, and good old trees right in the way, and ooh, too much beans coming out of the corner in that number 13 machine. That has allowed Fernando Matos to take the 5th position from Alan Capers. Capers, we highlighted just a few laps ago, he's on the oldest tires out there on the racetrack, now with the white flag coming out for the number 20 of Dave Wilson, and Capers just struggling on those old tires, unfortunately giving up that spot to Fernando Matos here as they are now on the last lap. There's about 4.7 seconds separating the number 20 of Dave Wilson ahead of AJ Digby. Kevin Cochran is 18 or so seconds back. Tanner Sharp is actually he's actually closed in on Kevin Cochran. Carlos, let's see if we can see if this is going to be a battle for position between the number 3 and the number 80, and there's the ray gun, Carlos, shooting out those number 3 tires on entry into turn number 1.
Look, the check, it wasn't the full amount, all right? I'm only going to do half my job.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos Acosta ruining the only battle on the racetrack for position, as Tanner Sharp now is going to find himself a couple of seconds too far back, I would think, unless Kevin Cochran makes a little bit of an error. Don't see any other battles on the race circuit as of right now. So Wilson working his way through turn number 8 for the final time, now going through the carousel for the final time. He's got, like I said, Digby actually has made another mistake. So Digby now finds himself 8 seconds off the race lead. We'll see what happens to Digby. Looks like he actually has gone off in turn number 5, turn number 6, and turn number 7.
Wow.
So we got the trifecta there. And unfortunately for Digby, he's going to come up short to this number 20 machine, barring a big mistake here in the last 3 corners by this man, Dave Wilson, the road course master of the SimPossible B-Car Series so far this season, working his way into Bill Miller Bend for the last time, turn number 13. Only has the right-hander turn number 14 and the run up the hill to home left. Dave Wilson coming out of the final corner will get his 3rd road course win of the season, blasting up through the gears, coming to the start-finish line, cresting the hill, and Dave Wilson takes the checkered flag for his 3rd road course win in 4 weeks here in the SimPossible Racing League. AJ Digby will flash across the start-finish line, come home 2nd, and now we'll see if there's any battle brewing between Kevin Cochran and Tanner Sharp. Does look like Cochran has it taken from the number 3 machine, so Cochran will hold on to that position on the final lap. Cochran, your last podium finisher. Tanner Sharp comes home 4th. Fernando Matos, we saw him get around Alan Capers there just a few laps ago. He's got about 10 seconds on that number 13 machine. Matos now coming out of the final corner himself, or I should say going into the final corner himself, and with the run up to the checkered flag here, rounding out your top 5. Good run for Fernando Matos. Started this race in 6th, come home 5th. Alan Capers right behind him now. Don't see Alan Capers actually out there on the racetrack. Carlos, what has happened to the number 13 machine?
I'm not sure. Alan Capers
He left the server before the race was over.
Huh.
I know what happened to the number 13, Carlos.
What happened to the 13?
Capers ran out of fuel.
Oh, no!
Capers ran out of fuel coming out of turn number 12 out of Canada corner and could not make it home. And that will give the 6th position to Christopher Bergen, the number 98. Kyle Zimmer will come home 7th. And Tom Johnson will come home in 8th. There he is. He will pass the stricken number 13 mobile there, coming Coming up through turn number 13 here, that's where the number 13 came to a rest. Unlucky number 13 here tonight, just 2 corners short from the finish line. Tom Johnson will round out your finishers here tonight in the 8th position. I don't believe that Billy Wise came across the
Billy
finish line
Wise is
under
out of
his own
the
power.
race.
So there he is, your 8th place finisher, Tom Johnson. That's where he started this race, but for Dave Wilson, it's 3 wins in 4 for that number 20 machine. He's already did his burnouts and celebratory donuts here, as this was a very, very, very tricky race around Road Americas. With all the offs that we saw, Carlos, it must have been very, very treacherous for these drivers. We even saw your race winner, Dave Wilson, nose it into the wall. It's going to be very interesting to talk to the top 3 finishers here in just a moment. And we will go on a very quick break here. Get your top 3 drivers lined up for interviews. That would be the number 80 of Kevin Cochran, the number 14 of AJ Digby, and the number 20 of Dave Wilson. We'll be right back with those top 3 interviews. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Road America here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Peter Short and Carlos Costa with me. We'll be interviewing, 3 of the top 4 drivers. As the first one we're going to interview is actually driver of the number 3 machine. That would be Tanner Sharp. Tanner Sharp, Peter Short here in the 3-wide TV booth. Bud, you got a copy?
Yep.
Well, Tanner, it looked like an extremely treacherous racetrack out there. I mean, every single driver succumbed to a spin or off track here tonight at some point or another. I mean, we saw that number 3 Perky Pints Will Wursler Racing machine really banged up with a little bit of contact there about the 1/3 race distance, but you were able to recover for a 4th place finish. How was this racetrack from your perspective?
Taking it from your words, treacherous. We thought we could put up a good battle. We thought we were doing pretty good with all the mistakes everybody was doing. Then we're like, okay, let's go ahead. It was my plan to decide to pit a lap before that caution, and maybe we can gain something on it. But I messed all that up, and then all of a sudden there was a thing that totally missed that we're all supposed to pit together during that break. So that's okay too. So either way, we were trying to fight for some track position, and the brakes, I felt like my brakes were going away, even though that's not a thing on iRacing, but I had just had to adjust a brake bias that second half, and it, like, drastically, so from a 69 to a 73 on that brake bias, and it felt fine majority of that entire second half until I start catching Kevin there for 3rd, and all of a sudden the thing I felt like I didn't have any brakes, and I kept going off a little bit. So it was weird, but solid full 4th here tonight for our Perky Pints Camaro under Will Wursler Racing. So just kind of glad we're done with road racing for a while.
Yeah, and we've been to 3 road courses in the past few weeks here. You did come away with 2 4th place finishes and a 5th place finish back at Watkins Glen, so not bad on the road course side of things. But next week we got Darlington Raceway. What are your thoughts about Darlington?
Darlington, driver's racetrack. at least we're not in the Cup car to where it's almost flat out. But anyways, yeah, Darlington's gonna be fun. You got to ride next to that wall majority of the time, man, and you got to be careful to get that Darlington stripe. We're all gonna get it eventually, but that's gonna be a really fun race. I don't know if I think we're allowed some throwback paint schemes. I don't think Jeff would care about that, but we might brew one up for next week. We'll see. Darlington, and then after Darlington, I'm having my surgery, so I don't know what the future is going to hold after that, because my surgery is going to take place on a Tuesday, the day before that SimPossible race that following Wednesday. So I got to look at the calendar what track that is. I think it's Vegas or Indianapolis, I think. So we'll see what everything brings. We're just going to try to salvage a good finish at Darlington, and then go for surgery on September. That first Tuesday of September. And it's the day after Labor Day, so it would be September 3rd. So then on the 4th, we'll see I don't know if I'm going to be around on the 4th, but we'll see how everything goes. So far, we're looking okay.
Well, I know I speak for everyone here at 3 Wide TV, and I'm sure everyone here in the SimPossible Racing League, that we all hope that your surgery goes well and that we can get you back on the racetrack as soon as possible. But yeah, definitely you will be racing hopefully next week at Darlington Raceway. Should be an absolute great show there once again here in the SimPossible Racing League. But before we let you go, Tanner, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, first and foremost, Perky Pints, getting them out there on the hood of the car here every single week now. So Perky Pints, thank you very much for sponsoring, for allowing me to sponsor you, I should say. Check out Perky Pints on www.perkypints.com. Also, download those guys at your Android store or your Apple store. Excuse me, I've been drinking water here. And Perky Pints is a nice perk to have if you're going out to restaurants, bars. They can help you save a little bit on money, just a little bit. Look for more information on all that on www.perkypints.com. Will Worsler, thanks for his spotting here tonight. He did a fantastic job spotting for me and letting me know and communicating with me a little bit. And keep me a little cool out there, because I was getting a little frustrated on the craziness of the race car and the racetrack itself. Even though it wasn't really the racetrack, it was more of the car itself. Thanks to 3 Wide TV for their broadcasting the SimPossible Racing League. Thanks to Jeff Schmidt for organizing the SimPossible Racing League. It's a great league for anybody that has a disability. Please come check us out, SimPossible. We're on iRacing. We can try to get you hooked up as best we can, so please check us out. Family, friends. I had 52 views on Facebook Live tonight, so I'm happy about that. So, yeah, we'll move forward, and got a lot of busy stuff this week going on. So, although we'll see you guys at Darlington.
Absolutely. We will see you then, Tanner, and looking forward to the 1.366 mile Darlington Speedway.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your fourth place finisher here tonight, driver of the number 3 machine. And I believe that Carlos Acosta has caught up with the second place finisher, AJ Digby, in the number 14 machine.
Yes, I have. AJ Digby's trying to get himself all dried up, running a very hard race out here tonight. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, AJ. That being said, you had a very, very different second half of the race. That first half, it was very obvious that you destroyed your tires within the first 6 laps, and you had to struggle the rest of the first half on those old tires, trying to not wreck your car anymore. What changes did you make to that second half of the race that helped push yourself to a second place finish?
Well, actually, going into the race, knowing that we had that competition caution at halfway, my intention was taking that first half of the race kind of like an extended practice in a way. Like, I wanted to push certain corners, try to find speed in certain areas, and it helped me for the second half of the race. But that was my intention going into it, was I'm going to push as hard as I can this first half, knowing that there's a caution and I'll be able to get back to the lead lap. All I had to do was not push it too hard to total it, so that way I could stay up in like second or third when we pitted. And I think I was third when we entered pit road. So I was pretty much did exactly what I wanted to do in the first half of the race, because I knew that even if Dave pulled away 40 seconds, that it would be a caution and pull everybody back together. So it wouldn't matter. I didn't need to try to go for a win. I needed to try to find speed during that first half. And I felt like it helped me then. And it's just with the road course cautions, we got screwed and had to pit on a closed pit. Technically, all of us did. And so Jeff was trying to clear everybody's penalties for that. And he couldn't get around to clearing my penalty until it started to get served. So instead of coming out second out of that pit cycle, because I got in a little bit faster, I saw in my mirror I would have been able to come out second right behind Dave. Instead of that, I had to take that 15-second penalty because it wasn't cleared yet, and ended up starting, I think, 9th or 8th on that last restart. And so just had to fight my way through the field. By the time I finally got up to second, I was 9 seconds behind Dave, and I was able to hold him from 9 to 13. And even with a little bit of left front damage that I had, I was able to hold him in that 9 to 13 range. And then he had his spin, and it pulled me back closer. And I was able to get about a half a second throughout the entire course, and then he would gain about a second on the carousel. So I don't know what setup he had on his car, but it was real good for that carousel. And that's where he was able to make up his time and pull away. He was definitely the fastest driver tonight, but it would have been nice to start right behind him on that last restart and be able to give him a challenge. I know I could have been right behind him within a few seconds that whole second stint if I was able to start up there. And all in all, it was a pretty good day. Ended up second and gather away some more points, and hopefully can lock myself into the playoffs here soon and move on. I was real excited for all these road courses, and got straight up beat at Watkins Glen. Wish I had Mid-Ohio back because I got kind of taken out there by lap traffic. And then this one just would have liked to start up towards the front. But Dave's definitely real good at road courses. It always tends to be me and him faster than everybody else. Sorry, that was very long, but that was my race recap.
All right. Do you feel like maybe you would have definitely had a chance had you restarted second?
I would have had a chance. I don't know if he would have spun the same way that he did, but if I had restarted second, I probably would have been able to stay within about 5 seconds. And then if he would have spun like that, it would have given me the lead. But also by restarting right behind him, I would have been able to be behind him. I still think he would have pulled away. Probably won it by about 4 or 5 seconds if neither of us spun or had too many off tracks. He was definitely the fastest one there tonight, but I was right there with him, and I was putting in pretty hot laps. I was able to hold the gap in the in that middle part of the run, even with my damage, and just would have liked to have a chance for it. But all in all, I can't be mad about a second place.
That's true. Well, moving on to next week, we got Darlington. What are your thoughts on that track, and could we maybe see a throwback scheme for you?
Yeah, I'll be finding a throwback scheme. Being the number 14, my goal is to try to find an AJ Foyt one. That's who I was actually named after. With being AJ, my parents wanted me to be an AJ. So my parents have been in the Indy 500 for a long time, and I followed them as well with it. And so I'm going to try to find an AJ Foyt throwback scheme. And run that. I'm excited for Darlington. It's always a place I've liked in other games, but I honestly don't think I've ever raced it in iRacing. So I honestly don't even know if I have it, but I will buy it if I don't. And I'm excited to give it a shot. It should be fun. Darlington's always a challenge.
Okay, well, before we do let you go onto your shout-outs, I believe special certain somebody that may have a crush on you wants to say something to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bobby Elder in the chat says, make sure you tell AJ hi from him. So Bobby Elder saying hello, and also Travis Zudema giving his support as well for you.
Yeah, thanks to both of those Zulu guys. I know Bobby tries to watch every time he can, and I know he always discusses with me after the race in our Discord. So thanks for watching. It means a lot. I wish I could have come away with a little bit more. And then thanks to Travis for checking in. I know he's had a little bit of monitor issues, and so he's just not able to race with us, and not wanting to throw in money or anything to get that fixed right now. So, but thanks to both of those Zulu guys for watching tonight. Came away with second. It was pretty good. Also, thanks to my cousin Kevin Vollmer for the wonderful car. Able to come away with the podium. Always that car looks good when it's up front. And thanks to you guys for the broadcast. I'm excited to watch some of the highlight areas later. And Jeff for putting on the league and everything that he did tonight with the cautions and everything. Love everybody in this league, and we got some great racing going on. I think a lot of the guys are going to be happy to get back to ovals. So we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you so much. All right, I believe Peter has caught up with the race winner. Is that correct?
I have caught up with the race winner. At least I kind of have caught up with him. There he is, Dave Wilson, Peter Short here in the 3Y TV booth. Race winner here tonight. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. I said to Tanner Sharp, who finished fourth here tonight, I said that the track looked treacherous, and it looked like it reared its bad head a couple times for a couple of drivers, and it got you too there with about 7 laps or so to go. It came out bitchy coming out of turn number 7, turn number 6, and you made some contact with the wall, but nonetheless you were able to see that one out for victory. But you were able to keep the car on track for most of the night, but it did look very slippery out there. What were your thoughts?
It wasn't really too slippery. It was the brakes just didn't really want to work on the car today for some reason. Everybody was having the same issue. It's still unknown on what was causing it, but nonetheless, it was the car felt really good for me. In practice, I just kept on backing out my braking zones to the point where it was comfortable for me to trail brake in the corner as well to keep it on the bottom and get a good exit. So once I learned that, then I just did the first half was pretty well practiced for the second half, and unfortunately I did clip the grass there and went into the wall. And for the last 7 laps or so, I was more so just watching my water temp because it was going up to about 240 to 250. So I was just trying to make sure that my engine didn't blow for the last 5 or 6 laps, especially.
Yeah, that's always interesting to hear when you get that front end damage. It, like you said, can cause your engine temperatures to skyrocket and could possibly lead to a blown motor, but luckily for you, you were able to see it out. That's 3 wins out of the last 4. Of course, all 3 of those wins coming on the road courses. Seems like you're pretty good at these left and right things, but next week we go back to the left turns of Darlington Speedway. I was saying to Carlos, besides Martinsville, Darlington probably is the racetrack that races most similar to a road course out of all the ovals. What are your thoughts about Darlington?
I don't have too much experience on it myself, actually, but from what I've seen, it's definitely going to be a good race in general. It's gonna be tight racing. It's gonna be hard exiting the corners. Got to try to not hit the wall in the turns. So it's definitely gonna take a lot of skill, and the best driver's gonna win, I think, because anything could really happen.
Yeah, definitely watch out for that turn 2 wall. It will come out and bite a couple of drivers without a doubt next week at Darlington. Before we let you go, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, first I'd like to thank you guys up here in the booth for broadcasting and commentating these races every week. All of us drivers and really enjoy watching the races after, and it's just really cool to see all the different angles and see all the carnage or just the awesome battles that are at the race in general. So everybody, all of us really appreciate it here from SimPossible, and without you guys, then it would just be a normal racing league and definitely bring it to the next level. I'd also like to thank all the guys that raced here today for participating. It was definitely a tough one. The car was probably the hardest that we've ever had to race, and I'm definitely proud of all the guys that were able to finish this race tonight, and quick congratulations to AJ for going from 9th to 2nd on that final stint there. He had some issues in the pits whenever we all came in during that competition caution, so it's definitely kudos to him for pulling back up to 2nd. I'd also like to thank Jeff Schmidt, the league owner of SimPossible. Without him, this league wouldn't be a thing, and it would just be normal iRacing, which isn't bad at all. But this league definitely takes it to another level, and all of us drivers really appreciate it, being able to race with people with similar racing styles or just similar lives outside of iRacing. So it's without him, this all of us guys would have never met, and it's definitely something that's becoming better and better every week. And finally, I'd like to shout out the PC Rats for supporting me throughout this race and just pushing me to do my best and go out there and try to win.
Absolutely, Dave. Well, the next time we'll see you on track here in the B-Car Series will be Darlington Raceway, and I'm sure you'll be urged on to go get the victory there, too. Well, thanks for stopping by with us here tonight, and we'll see you then in 1 week's time.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your race winner, Dave Wilson, driver of the number 20 machine. And I believe that Carlos Acosta has caught up with the league organizer. That'd be Jeff Schmidt.
Yes, I have, and I see Jeff Schmidt just polishing off a corn dog. Bit strange, but I hope you enjoyed that. I've never been too much a fan of that myself. Why don't you go ahead and take a quick moment, digest that, and let us know what you thought of tonight's race was overall.
Man, I'm always wondering what I'm going to be eating next. It's the best part. The race was great. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Throwing the cautions at the road courses on iRacing, for those that do know, it's kind of a nightmare. I think we did a good job of getting everyone together and making it work without even having to extend the caution, so that was pretty cool. Of course, a couple guys got black flag penalties for whatever reason, and I cleared them as fast as I could. It might have affected a few of the racers for their final restarting order. But unfortunately, as an admin in iRacing, there's not necessarily a way to shuffle the field around. And at least if there was a way with moving them around and clearing black flags and stuff, it wouldn't work out, because it would, by giving someone a position, it would put someone else back. So it's one of those things where no matter what you do, you can't really please everyone. It was definitely not of our fault. It was just a product of the road course on iRacing and how cautions do not work. It was great though to have the stage break. It was nice for the guys to have a little bit of a break there. It's definitely a very physical thing to race out here, and with some of the disabilities that the guys do have to race with, I'm very proud that they're able to do what they do. So all in all, it was a great race, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah, we did as well. We all had a great time trying to watch it. It's very touch and go for some of these drivers, but it's still very, very cool to see that these guys do know what to do here at road courses, and can't wait to see what they're gonna do from now on. Next we move on to Darlington. Darlington, it's gonna be very fun. We're wrapping up the split series with the trucks, and we're also gonna be going to Darlington as well for the B car series, which is here on Wednesday. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, back to an oval, and back to oval for a little while here until we get back to the Charlotte Roval, or to it for the first time in our league. It's going to be some oval racing coming up here, so the guys are definitely excited about that. As many know, we are an oval league. The B car series, we just mimic the NASCAR schedule, and for whatever reason, NASCAR really bunches all the road courses up together, or most of them, other than the Roval there. So we have been racing a lot of road courses. You guys are excited again to get back at the ovals. Darlington is a really tricky racetrack. The racing surface is not that wide. It's very narrow, and it may look wide, but that most of what you're looking at when you look at that track is an apron that's not banked the same as the racetrack. So you can't even use that really to race on. You might be able to help it, or help your vehicle turn a little bit by getting your left sides on it, but if you go all the way down there, you're going to lose time and possibly spin it out. So definitely a tricky track. It's good that the guys are going to be racing it twice in a week, I think, because they can practice. Unfortunately, it would be the championship race that they'd be practicing in, but it could help them for the Wednesday series if they do race the Monday of next week. So I encourage everyone to race both, and I think it'll be a good time. The throwback thing, hopefully we see some throwback schemes out there for the Wednesday race for the B car series. If the guys want to run some trucks for the championship race, Darlington throwback style, then we encourage that. But we're really pushing for the Xfinity side of it to see some awesome throwback schemes.
And that's great to hear, and we can't wait to see all the action going on. But before we do get into the shout-out territory, why don't you go ahead and give us any news that is coming up pretty soon?
Yep, 2 special events coming up sooner than later, and we're going to be advertising the heck out of both of them up until they're done being raced. So the first, not necessarily our event, but we are honored to be part of it, racing in it. That's the Team Brit PCDC and SimAbility Silverstone 6-hour event, September 7th. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be broadcast too. We're going to go ahead and share all that stuff on our SimPossible social media stuff. So we'll definitely share everything and let everyone know how they can watch that race. We're going to have four teams out there racing in it, in SimPossible HPDs around Silverstone Racetrack. That's going to be a good time. Those guys do a heck of a job putting on a charity event. And yeah, I mean, if our event the following week on September 14th is anything near that, then we would have succeeded. Those guys really do an awesome job, and we're just proud to be part of it. And of course, our SimPossible 500 is September 14th, the following week, a Saturday, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, man, we're looking forward to it. We're looking to raise some money for the drivers in the league. We got a lot of cool prizes to give out, a lot of money worth of stuff. Not that necessarily means anything, but it's cool stuff. MPI wheels, got Magical Butter Machine, got a lot of swag, hats, shirts, a lot of cool things. Paint jobs from Some Graphics has been gracious enough to donate his time to
Really?
Mark Thingman with Some Graphics. He's gonna paint the top 3 winners in that race. We'll get a free paint job from him. A lot of cool stuff, man. I don't have it all written down here. I probably should, but there's a lot more prizes than that, and we're hoping to get more.
I
even.
want to race in that race.
I know, right? Sorry, Carlos. Maybe we can find a
Okay.
prize for you for
Yeah.
doing the broadcast for us.
Best producer.
There you go.
All right. Well,
Yeah, Carlos is only eligible for a Dundee. That's all he gets.
Well, I don't know, man. There's some pretty nice kazoos out there.
there are. Oh my God, yeah, there are. All right. Well, Peter, do you have anything you want to ask Jeff, or anything you want to say to him?
No, man, just we're looking forward to those races, the special events, and we're also looking forward to wrapping up the Truck Series next Monday night here on 3YTV. Should be a good show at Darlington.
No doubt. We'll see if Kyle Zimmer can pull the 3-for-3 championships in a row. That would be one heck of a feat. Just like Dave Wilson tonight, man. He's our only road course winner in the league. So both definitely pretty huge feats to accomplish. Very proud of those guys for what they've done. And, very different things, but both very awesome and not easy to do. Dave is a really great road course racer. It's nice to see him be able to do something like that. AJ was right there too. But yeah, Kyle Zimmer, he's looking for a 3rd championship in a row, and that's pretty amazing. So we'll see if he can pull it off. He doesn't have it locked in by any means, so we'll see what happens there Monday.
That's true. Well, before we do let you go, you have any shout-outs you want to give out?
Yeah, you guys in the booth, of course, Peter and Carlos and Cameron. Thank you so much, man, for what you guys do. It's always so much fun to watch these things when they're over with. I always watch them as well. I mean, I watch the whole race as it happens, and I still go back to watch the broadcast because it's that much better than what I even see. The amazing camera angles and the commentating is a whole lot cooler than just watching the cars go around and clicky and trying to look at everything. So I'm always excited to watch the race myself, and I know the drivers are even just as, if not more, excited themselves to watch it, and their family members to be able to watch it. Very cool. Everyone that does watch, thank you so much for the support. We love you guys. We see you out there. We really think it's the coolest thing ever. I got to say thanks to everyone that's helped us out with everything, anything and everything. From the guy that did our logo, our graphic logo when we first started, to the companies now donating products for our SimPossible 500 event. From A to B, everyone that's helped us along the way. We got to thank everyone. We got a long list of them, and we're going to be sure to get to every single one of them on that charity race. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a long time to do it too, being a 500-mile event. So look for that. Everyone hopefully can make it out to watch that. Yeah, just have a good night, everyone. Johnny, I hope you're feeling better, buddy. Johnny Berardi wasn't feeling the best today. And James Ifa, I hope your dad's doing okay, man. I know he didn't make the race today because of something going on in the family there. So
that's not good.
To those 2 drivers, hope everything works out and everyone's doing good. We love you guys. If you need anything, let us know. We're here for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. Peter, before we do wrap up tonight's broadcast, I believe we have one last thing we need to take care of.
The finishing results.
Bop, 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 bop. Bop.
Get your kazoos out because Dave Wilson, driver of the number 20 machine, it comes home as tonight's race winner. Like Jeff said, he's the only winner on the road courses here in the SimPossible Racing League so far, and he won tonight by 8.4 seconds over AJ Doopy, runner-up on the road course once again. 3rd place is Kevin Cochran. Unfortunately, we were unable to talk to him here at the end of the race, but nonetheless, the number 18 machine was fast all night long, kept it in between the lines, minimized his mistakes, and comes home with a podium finish because of it. Tanner Sharp, your points leader, comes home with a very respectable 4th place finish, about 28 seconds ahead of Fernando Matos in the number 17 machine, who passed the number 13 of Alan Capers with a few laps to go to get that 5th position from him. 6th position goes to Chris Roberge, who gained that spot on the very last lap when Alan Capers ran out of fuel. Kyle Zimmer also gained a spot on the last lap due to the 13's demise, coming home in 7th. Tom Johnson likewise comes home in 8th. And then Alan Capers, who ran out of fuel in turn number 13. 13 runs out in turn 13. That sounds like a stretch of bad luck for the number 13 tonight. But he finishes the 9th position, 1 lap down. Billy Wise, your first driver to not cross the start-finish line here tonight to receive the checkered flag, comes home 10th. Tin Masters 11th. Brian Lowhead 12th. And Johnny Berardi, who is feeling a little bit under the weather, comes home in 13th. Well, Carlos, a very exciting race here around this 4-mile, 14-turn racetrack. Before we let you go, we got to give some shout-outs of our own. Want to give a thanks to SimTV for these awesome camera angles each and every week, and also want to give a shout out to Thomas Morris for the graphics package. Carlos, any final thoughts?
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody out here watching. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to you, and look forward to seeing you on Monday when we go to Darlington and broadcast pretty much on an almost Darlington week.
Yeah, we got the Darlington on the Truck Series side of things, and Darlington on the B-Car Series side of things, and I believe even the other league that we broadcast is going to Darlington in the SMS Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series for the ASRS Series. So we'll find a hotel in Darlington, and we'll stay there all next week, and hopefully bring you some 3 good broadcasts here on the 3-Wide Racing, 3-Wide TV. We're affiliated with 3-Wide Racing, but we're not 3-Wide Racing, we're 3-Wide TV. But for myself, Peter Short, and Carlos Acosta, we bid each and every one of you a wonderful good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be for you, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Separate bets.